Beth Phelan had always been fascinated by the ocean and its mysteries, which is why she pursued a career as a research fishery biologist. In 1985, she was assigned to work at the old Army hospital that was part of the Sandy Hook Lab. Her task was to conduct bluefish research in the building, which involved recording fish swim times each hour to ground truth video recordings documenting swimming behavior. At first, everything seemed normal, but it didn't take long for Beth to notice something strange. Whenever she passed the large staircase to the second floor, she heard what sounded like disembodied whispers. It didn't happen every time, and sometimes it was barely audible, but it was enough to give her chills. At first, she thought it was just her imagination playing tricks on her, but the whispers persisted. As the weeks went by, Beth became increasingly uneasy. She started avoiding the staircase altogether and would take the longer route to the basement instead. But even then, she couldn't escape the feeling of being watched. It was as if someone or something was always lurking in the shadows, waiting for her. One night, while she was working the night shift, Beth decided to sleep in the basement instead of risking the walk through the building. She found an old hospital couch and settled in for the night. But as she was dozing off, she heard something that made her blood run cold. It was the sound of footsteps coming down the basement stairs. Beth's heart raced as she tried to convince herself that it was just a coworker who had forgotten something. But the footsteps continued, growing louder and closer. She could feel her pulse pounding in her ears as she gripped the edge of the couch. Suddenly, a figure appeared in the dim light. It was a woman in a white hospital gown. Her hair a tangled mess, her eyes were wide and wild, and her mouth was twisted in a scream that never came out. Beth froze, too terrified to move. The woman stared at her for a long moment, then disappeared as quickly as she had come. Beth was left alone in the basement, her heart racing and her mind reeling. She knew then that the whispers she had been hearing were not just her imagination. There was something sinister in that building, something that didn't want her there. A few weeks later, the lab building burned down. An arsonist had set fire to the building on the night Beth was supposed to work, but she had switched her shift at the last minute. As she and a coworker sifted through the ruins, she couldn't help but feel relieved. The building was finally quiet, and the whispers had been silenced forever, or so she thought. Thank you for listening to this bone-chilling tale. If you enjoyed it, please don't forget to subscribe to our channel, Eerie Encounters, for more spine-tingling stories. Don't miss out on our next upload, and share our channel with your friends who love a good scare. Stay tuned for more tales, only on Eerie Encounters.